The U.S. is on its way to becoming the world's top oil producer. The Energy Department believes American output will soar to 9.6 million barrels a day by the year 2016. But surprisingly, one of our country's top oil suppliers is being left in the dust. From Anchorage, Ben Tracy shows us how Alaska is working to get things flowing again.
Opens up.
Paul Hughes owns a snowmobile shop near Anchorage. He says there's one day each year every Alaskan looks forward to.
I know I do. It's a big thing for everybody.
It's the day the state announces the oil dividend.
And the amount this year is $900.
Every man, woman, and child in Alaska gets a check, their share of the state's vast oil revenues. Hughes says some people spend the money on snowmobiles. He used one of his kids' checks to buy a new stove.
And which kid's check paid for the oven?
This was Malaya's gift to us all.
But those annual oil checks are getting smaller because Alaska is producing less oil. Production on the North Slope peaked at 2 million barrels per day in 1988, but has dropped to less than 500,000 now. There's so little oil flowing through the 800-mile Trans-Alaskan pipeline that some state leaders say it may freeze and shut down. It's not that they're running out of oil here in Alaska. The oil industry says there's still billions of barrels of oil in the North Slope alone. The problem, the oil companies say, is taxes.
I think we're at a turning point here.
Kara Moriarty represents Alaska's oil industry. She faults a 2007 oil tax imposed on producers by the state that climbed as high as 75%, depending on the price of oil. The oil industry slowed production in Alaska and invested in the oil boom in the lower 48. Alaska has now fallen behind Texas, North Dakota, and California in oil production.
If we don't change things, we could be outsurpassed by Oklahoma.
Alaska's Governor Sean Parnell has now pushed through a new lower 35% flat tax on oil. He's hoping to lure companies back to Alaska's North Slope.
We've got to stop the bleeding.
Joe Bailash runs Alaska's Department of Natural Resources.
When California eclipsed us as a producing state, that was embarrassing. They are the most overregulated, overtaxed place on the face of the planet, well, in the United States.
Alaska is uniquely dependent on oil. There is no income tax, property tax, or sales tax. More than 90% of the state budget is paid for with oil taxes.
Handlebar, back.
Paul Hughes knows what oil and those checks mean to his business, even if they are getting smaller.
Does it worry you that that amount seems to be going in the wrong direction?
Love to see it higher.
But that won't happen unless production on Alaska's North Slope stops heading south. For CBS This Morning, Ben Tracy, Anchorage, Alaska.